everybody? Hey, I wanted to jump on here, talk about a few things. Apparently, we'll talk about this Virginia Governor Northam. He's just turning out to be a terrible governor. And apparently today he is going to announce the removal of the Robert E. Lee statue from Monument Avenue. Those of you not familiar with Richmond, Monument Avenue is beautiful street actually, and it's got quite a few Confederate general statues and kind of circles, as well as it also actually has an Arthur Ashe statue. So I find it though pretty disgusting that this guy, sorry about that, hit a bump, that this governor, who as you probably already know, was he either wore blackface or he wore a Klan outfit, which was pictured in his yearbook. Apparently we still don't know exactly which one he was, but either way, he should have resigned when that all came out. He's just an absolute complete hypocrite, like a lot of leftists are. And so now he's in his response trying to redeem himself. That's kind of what makes me sick about this situation the most, is this governor, who obviously has this serious stain on his record of this blackface photo, is now trying to redeem himself by removing history from the streets of Richmond and the streets of America. And you know, here's the question: it's like, do you go now and do we take down the Washington Monument and Jefferson Memorial and countless others? I mean, there's statues in Capitol Square right across from Northam's executive mansion that have slave owners, former slave owners, who also happen to be founding fathers. You know, the fact is, it is a part of the history of the United States and the world. And, you know, those who forget history or try to erase history are doomed to repeat it. Here's the other thing about Robert E. Lee that a lot of people don't know, because, you know, everything's stereotyped these days. Nobody wants to do any research. And that is, Robert E. Lee, as far as I understand it, never actually purchased a slave. He inherited slaves from his in-laws, and he was actually opposed to slavery and fighting for the Confederacy. He was fighting as a Virginian, okay? He was very much a Virginian, a proud Virginian. And that's why he agreed to, you know, fight on behalf of the Confederacy, because he saw the abuses from the North at the time. And, you know, he was going to stick with his state. So Robert E. Lee didn't go to fight for the Confederacy to preserve slavery, because he was actually opposed to it. And here's a fun fact, is that Robert E. Lee, he eventually freed all of his slaves that he had inherited, whereas Ulysses S. Grant actually still owned a slave after Robert E. Lee had liberated his slaves. And this was a slave that, as I understand it, Ulysses S. Grant had purchased. So, you know, are we going to take down all of Ulysses S. Grant's statues now? Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, all these guys up on Capitol Square in Virginia? It's really disgraceful, Northam. No matter what you do, the people of Virginia see you for what you are. We have zero respect for you. You have assaulted our Second Amendment rights as well, which now, in light of these riots and your inability to keep the streets of Richmond safe, you know, it's all the more, the Second Amendment becomes all the more relevant when people are charged with defending their families, because the fact of the matter is, when there's breakdowns like we've had in these riot situations, there's really just not enough police presence to keep the peace everywhere if anarchists and Antifa terrorists, you know, decide that they want to spread that. Here's the other interesting thing about Northam that I found interesting is, what was it, last Friday, almost a week ago, he put into effect an order where Virginians have to wear a mask everywhere. A lot of Virginians are defying that, including me. It's absolutely silly. The only masks that stop the COVID-19 virus are N95 or better. And I'm walking around, all the people I'm seeing are wearing cloth masks and nice, fancy designer masks and that sort of thing. But you know what? If they're not N95, which means the fabric of that mask is woven tight enough to actually stop the coronavirus or COVID-19 virus, whereas these cloth masks, the virus is too small, it goes right through them. So it's absolutely silly. And a couple days before Northam had announced that, there's lots of photos of him down at the beach without a mask, down at Virginia Beach without a mask, and he's talking to folks, and they're certainly not 6 feet away from him. So I find it very interesting that Ralph Northam orders this mask executive order for everybody, mandatory masks for everyone, and it happened to come a few days before all the riots began. Now, who enjoys the cover of a mask? Well, rioters. It's absolutely legal when the governor has ordered it. So I found the timing of that to be very interesting, considering where we are in the curve of the COVID-19 scamdemic. So anyways, guys, please look up I don't have the number, but please look up the governor's office. I think this is going to cause quite a stir, but that's what the Democrats try to do. They're trying to divide this nation right now. They are, the media is, of course, working with them. But the good news is that there's all indications from the Trump administration that the Antifa terrorists, and they are terrorists, I've been face-to-face with them in the streets, they're terrorists, they're bullies and terrorists, that the Antifa terrorist network has been under investigation for quite a while, and that, of course, includes George Soros, their primary financier, and many other leftist figures in our country. And this has become a coordinated attempted insurrection, and therefore there are going to be criminal charges when this network is exposed, revealed, and hopefully there's going to be some indictments coming down soon. Guys like George Soros need to be exported from this country. I don't know where we could send him to, because his homeland hates him. I mean, the guy admitted to collaborating with the Nazis to take Jews' property during World War II with his uncle. And he actually, in an interview on 60 Minutes, and you can look this up, I think it was in 1979, he showed zero remorse and basically said he would do it again, because if he didn't do it, somebody else would. So this guy's core evil, and he's working with the left. He's financing Antifa. I'm sure he's coordinating with Antifa leadership, and I think we're going to get to the bottom of all that. But anyways, pick up your phone, call the governor's office in Virginia, Northam, shoot him an email, tell him what a hypocrite he is, that no matter what he does, no matter how many statues he takes down, he's always going to be known as Governor Blackface. That's right, Northam. You're Governor Blackface, and you can't shake that. Anyways, I love you guys. Hang in there. Everything's going to be fine. The plan is going just as it's supposed to. And I know things seem a little shaky, but this is what the deep state's going to do. They're going to continue to create crisis after crisis, especially up until the election, because they're just they're of course trying to take back power, and that's not going to happen, because they know if they can't take back power that they're all doomed, basically, and they're going to have to face their crimes, which are many. Hopefully a lot of that information's coming out sooner than later, though, and indictments coming out sooner than later, because boy, there's a lot of people that need to be indicted and will be indicted. I'm confident of that. So everybody hang in there, stay cool, stay safe, and it's a good time to, when Antifa starts talking about going out in the suburbs, or even if you live in the city, it's a good time to talk with your neighbors. It's a good time to make sure your firearms are in order. And, assuming it's legal in your state, which it should be everywhere, feel free to open carry, because that's what Antifa thugs understand. They understand power. And they see enough people. This is what's happening. They're going into some of these suburbs. I was reading an article about a suburb in California where Antifa said, yeah, we're coming out there. Well, all the good citizens of that city in California, small city or town, they were all very well armed, and they let the Antifa thugs know that when they came into town. And things ended well for that town. Didn't end well for Antifa. They were run out of town, basically. So let's all stand for what's right, stand shoulder to shoulder with other good people. The majority of Americans are good, law-abiding folks who don't agree with looters and violent anarchists like the Antifa terrorists. and stick together, and we'll all be fine. Everything's going to be fine in the end. And just remember, you have the power to manifest and co-create the future. So keep those positive thoughts flowing. Keep your eye on the goal line, which is where we're gonna end up scoring a touchdown this year. It's gonna be a very good year for humanity and exposing all these criminals. And just keep focusing on that, meditating, praying towards that. And I always try to remind people that I think it's most powerful when you try to feel the feelings that you will feel when whatever you are trying to co-create or manifest becomes reality. So try to focus on how that feeling is. Don't necessarily focus on, oh, okay, I want this to be the end result, and thinking about that end result. Focus on the feeling that you're going to have in your heart when that result occurs, whatever result you are trying to manifest or co-create. Anyways, I love all you guys. Hang in there and keep your chin up. Keep spreading information. Keep spreading awareness, because I think more and more people are awakening. Take care. Bye.